Be true to yourself. Today I stand before you, not as someone who has it all figured out, but as someone who's learned the greatest lesson in life: the importance of being true to yourself. Life isn't a smooth ride. It's full of twists, turns, and challenges that often leave us questioning who we are. We're constantly told by society, our families, and even our own minds what we should be, how we should look, and who we should become. And for a long time, I tried to fit into those molds. I tried to follow the path that everyone expected me to walk, even when it didn't feel like my own. But here's the truth I've learned. No one, and I mean no one, can define your worth better than you can. If you spend your life living for others, you'll never truly live for yourself. And if you're constantly chasing perfection, you'll miss out on the beauty of imperfection. Being true to yourself means embracing all of who you are: flaws, strengths, fears, and dreams. It means giving yourself permission to grow, to change, and to make mistakes without guilt or shame. It's about showing up in the world as your authentic self, even when the world may not understand you. You see, I've been through my own struggles. There have been moments where I thought I would never get back up, times when I was told I wouldn't make it, moments when I felt like I didn't belong. But the one thing that kept me going, even when it felt like everything was falling apart, was the understanding that I am enough as I am, that I don't need anyone's approval to be me. When you're true to yourself, you free yourself. You stop pretending. You stop wearing masks. And when you let go of the fear of judgment, you find peace. Because at the end of the day, the only person you need to answer to is the one in the mirror. And let's not forget, being true to yourself doesn't mean you'll always be comfortable. It's not about easy, it's about honesty. Even when it's difficult, it's about finding the courage to stand tall in a world that sometimes asks you to shrink. It's about loving yourself in ways that others might not understand, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you know your worth. I urge you today, no matter what life throws your way, never lose sight of who you are. Wear your scars like badges of honor, carry your dreams with pride, and never apologize for being uniquely you. The world is waiting for the gift that only you can give. Be true to yourself, always, because in doing so, you unlock the limitless power that resides within you. The journey to being true to yourself begins with embracing your authenticity, a concept that might sound simple at first, but holds profound depth once you start to unpack it. We live in a world filled with noise, voices from family, friends, media, society, and even our own self-doubt. These voices can sometimes overpower the quiet whispers of our hearts and minds, leading us to question who we truly are. The desire to fit in, to please others, and to conform to society's standards is deeply ingrained in us. We are conditioned to follow prescribed paths, wear certain masks, and suppress parts of ourselves that we fear might not align with the expectations set for us. But here's the reality. Embracing your authenticity means rejecting those imposed ideals and stepping into the fullness of who you truly are. It means being comfortable with your truth, even if it doesn't always align with what's popular or what's expected of you. It's about rejecting the urge to hide your true self in favor of something that is easier or more accepted. In a world that constantly tells us to fit in, the most courageous thing we can do is to stand out by being true to ourselves. Being authentic isn't always easy. The pressure to conform to societal norms can feel overwhelming. We live in a world that tells us what success should look like, what beauty should look like, and how we should behave. But what if the path to real fulfillment doesn't lie in meeting others' expectations? What if it's found in discovering what truly makes you feel alive? To be authentic means to carve your own path, to create your own definition of success, to embrace your quirks and imperfections, and to live according to your own values and principles. Authenticity comes with a level of vulnerability. When you are truly authentic, you allow yourself to be seen, not just the parts that are polished and perfect, but also the messy, unfiltered pieces that make you human. And being seen in its rawest form can be terrifying. It requires bravery to let go of the facades we hide behind and present ourselves as we truly are, without the masks we put on to please others. But this vulnerability is also where true connection happens. When you show up as your authentic self, you create space for others to do the same. You allow others to see that it's okay to be real, to be imperfect, and to not have it all figured out. It's easy to pretend to be someone we're not, especially when we feel the pressure to meet other people's expectations. There's a tendency to want to live up to an image that others have of us, to shape ourselves into something we think others will approve of or accept. We convince ourselves that if we just fit into the molds that have been created for us, we'll be liked, loved, and accepted. But this often leads to feelings of dissatisfaction, frustration, and even resentment, because the person we're presenting to the world is not the person we truly are. The more we pretend to be someone else, the further we stray from the truth of who we are. The further we get from what brings us joy, from what makes our hearts sing, from the things that truly matter to us. We end up living a life that feels hollow, a life that is not our own. And this disconnect from our true selves often leads to a deep sense of unfulfillment. We may achieve success in the eyes of the world, but if it is not aligned with our authentic self, it will never bring us the sense of satisfaction and peace we seek. The beauty of embracing authenticity is that it allows you to show up fully in your life. It enables you to speak your truth, make choices that reflect your values, and build relationships that are grounded in genuine connection. When you embrace your authenticity, you free yourself from the burden of constantly trying to meet external expectations. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself to others. You live with a sense of inner peace because you are no longer at war with who you are. But embracing authenticity also means embracing the complexity of being human. We all have parts of ourselves that we may not love or that we wish were different. It's easy to look at other people's lives and think they have it all together, that they are living their best life, while we feel stuck in our own. But the truth is, we all have our struggles, our imperfections, our flaws, and our vulnerabilities. And that is what makes us human. To embrace authenticity is to acknowledge all of these aspects of ourselves, the good, the bad, and the messy, and to accept them as part of our story. It's about recognizing that being imperfect is not a flaw, but a part of the beautiful, intricate design that makes us who we are. When we embrace our authenticity, we also embrace our personal power. We stop relying on external validation to determine our worth. We stop comparing ourselves to others. We stop measuring our success based on someone else's standards. Instead, we begin to define our own success on our terms, in our own time, in alignment with who we truly are. The more we recognize our value, the more others will recognize it too. Because when you are authentic, you radiate a confidence that cannot be faked. You exude a sense of self-assuredness that comes from within, and this is what attracts respect and admiration from others. The journey to authenticity is a continuous one. It's not a destination you reach and then stop. It's a lifelong process of self-discovery and growth. As we move through different stages of life, we change, we evolve, and our understanding of ourselves deepens. Our authentic selves may shift and grow as we experience new things, meet new people, and gain new perspectives. And that's okay. Authenticity is not about staying static. It's about being true to who you are in each moment, wherever you are in your journey. It's about being honest with yourself, about what you need, what you want, and what makes you feel whole. The beauty of embracing authenticity is that it allows you to live with intention. You no longer live on autopilot, following routines or habits that don't align with your true desires. You make choices based on what resonates with you on a soul-deep level. Whether it's in your career, relationships, or personal pursuits, when you live authentically, you become more aligned with your purpose. you begin to create a life that reflects your values, passions, and unique vision for the future. But, of course, embracing authenticity comes with its own set of challenges. There will always be people who won't understand your choices, your values, or your path. There will be times when you feel like you're standing alone, when the world tells you that you're too much or not enough. But in those moments, remember that being true to yourself is not about pleasing others. It's about honoring your own truth, even when it's difficult, even when it's lonely. Because at the end of the day, the only person who has to live with your choices is you. And when you live authentically, you can look back on your life with no regret. The process of embracing your authenticity is not about striving for perfection. It's about striving for honesty. It's about acknowledging the parts of yourself that you've hidden away or neglected and allowing them to come into the light. It's about shedding the layers of expectation, fear, and judgment and stepping into the fullness of who you are. It's about loving yourself enough to stand in your truth even when it's hard. It's easy to look around and see what others have accomplished, what they've achieved, how they've succeeded, and feel the pressure to live up to those same standards. But the reality is that each of us has a unique journey to follow. And the only path worth walking is the one that is true to who we are. When we embrace authenticity, we stop trying to be someone else and start becoming the best version of ourselves. Living authentically is a process that takes courage, self-compassion, and patience. But the rewards of living authentically are immeasurable. It's a life filled with deeper connections, personal growth, and the joy that comes from being in alignment with your true self. So I encourage you, wherever you are in your journey, to take the first step toward embracing your authenticity. Don't wait for permission from anyone else. Don't wait for the world to validate your worth. You are worthy just as you are. And the world is waiting for the gift that only you can offer, your true, authentic self. Life is full of challenges, obstacles that test our strength, perseverance, and resilience. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when faced with difficulties, to question whether we have the strength to push through, whether it's personal setbacks, failures, health issues, or external pressures. We all encounter moments when the weight of life feels too much to bear. But it is in these moments, when we face adversity head on, that we discover what we are truly capable of. It is in these very challenges that our true strength is forged, and the courage to keep moving forward becomes the key to our growth and transformation. Facing challenges with courage is not about being fearless. It's about having the strength to act despite fear. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the willingness to move forward even when we are afraid. We often think of courage as something reserved for heroes in movies or stories of great triumph. But the truth is, courage is something each of us can tap into in our daily lives. It is the quiet strength that pushes us to take one more step when everything inside us is telling us to give up. It's the voice that says, keep going, even when the road ahead seems uncertain or impossible. To face challenges with courage, we must first acknowledge that fear is a natural part of the process. Fear often arises when we step outside our comfort zones or when we face situations that are unfamiliar or daunting. It's easy to let fear control us, to retreat into the safety of what we know, to avoid situations where we might fail or face rejection. But if we let fear dictate our actions, we will never grow. We will never take the chance that could lead us to something better, something greater. Courage is not about eliminating fear. It's about learning how to live with it and move through it. When we face challenges, we often want immediate solutions, quick fixes, or assurances that everything will be okay. But the reality is, life's challenges don't always come with clear answers or instant resolutions. Sometimes we must simply take one step at a time and trust that we have the ability to navigate the unknown. Courage is about showing up even when we don't know how things will turn out. It's about taking action even when the outcome is uncertain. And it's about trusting in ourselves even when doubt and insecurity try to take over. One of the keys to facing challenges with courage is the ability to reframe our mindset. Instead of viewing challenges as obstacles, we can choose to see them as opportunities for growth. Every difficulty we encounter is an invitation to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. When we face a challenge, we can ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this experience? Shifting our perspective in this way allows us to approach difficulties not with resistance or fear, but with an open mind and a willingness to embrace whatever lessons may come. It's also important to recognize that challenges often come with setbacks and failures. No one achieves success without encountering some form of defeat along the way. But these failures are not the end of the road. They are part of the process. They are stepping stones that help us build the foundation for future success. To face challenges with courage is to understand that failure is not a reflection of our worth, but an opportunity to learn, adjust, and try again. It is through our failures that we gain the strength and wisdom to keep moving forward. Another aspect of courage in facing challenges is the willingness to ask for help when needed. We often think of courage as something that requires us to be strong and independent. But true courage also involves vulnerability. It means recognizing that we don't have to face every challenge alone. Asking for support, whether from friends, family, or mentors, takes immense courage. It shows that we are not afraid to lean on others, that we are willing to acknowledge our limitations, and that we trust in the strength of community. Courage isn't about doing everything by ourselves. It's about knowing when to reach out and accept help in order to move forward. Facing challenges with courage also requires patience and perseverance. Some challenges may take longer to overcome than we initially expect, and some goals may require sustained effort over a long period of time. It can be easy to become discouraged when progress is slow or when it feels like we are not making the strides we hope for. But courage means continuing to put in the work even when the results aren't immediate. It means believing in ourselves and in the process, even when we can't see the end result right away. Sometimes the act of showing up day after day, despite the obstacles, is in itself an act of profound courage. As we face challenges, it's essential to remember that we are not defined by the difficulties we encounter. Our value is not determined by the struggles we face or the hardships we endure. What defines us is how we respond to these challenges, the strength we summon, the resilience we cultivate, and the courage we embrace. When we face challenges with courage, we show ourselves that we are capable of more than we ever thought possible. We realize that we have the power to navigate the toughest times, to rise after falling, and to emerge stronger and more resilient than before. The challenges we face are not there to break us. They are there to shape us. They push us to expand our boundaries, to challenge our limits, and to discover the strength and resilience we didn't know we had. By facing challenges with courage, we not only overcome the obstacles in front of us, but we also develop the inner strength to face whatever lies ahead. Courage allows us to keep going, even when it feels like everything is stacked against us. And through that courage, we build the life we are truly capable of living. A life defined not by fear, but by the strength to face whatever comes our way with resilience and grace. Change is an inevitable part of life. It's something we all experience, yet it's often met with resistance, fear, or uncertainty. Whether it's a change in our personal lives, our careers, or the world around us, we tend to approach change with hesitation, wondering if we're ready or if we can adapt. But the reality is that change is not something to fear. It is a powerful force that propels us forward, a catalyst for growth and transformation. When we learn to embrace change, we open ourselves up to new possibilities, new experiences, and new opportunities for growth. The discomfort we feel when faced with change often stems from our natural tendency to seek stability and predictability. We like routines, we like knowing what to expect, and we like feeling in control of our circumstances. Change, on the other hand, disrupts this sense of control. It takes us out of our comfort zones and forces us to navigate the unknown. It can be unsettling to realize that things are no longer as they once were, or that we are no longer who we used to be. But if we allow ourselves to embrace change rather than resist it, we can see it for what it truly is: an opportunity to evolve, to learn, and to grow into a better version of ourselves. The process of embracing change starts with accepting the reality that change is a constant. No matter how much we may want to stay in a particular moment, situation, or phase of life, everything is constantly in flux. Our bodies change, our relationships change, our goals and dreams change, and the world around us changes. Trying to resist this flow of life is like trying to swim against a powerful current. It's exhausting, frustrating, and ultimately futile. Instead, when we accept that change is a natural and inevitable part of life, we allow ourselves to flow with it, to adapt and move forward with grace. Embracing change also means letting go of the fear of the unknown. It's easy to feel anxious about what lies ahead when we don't know exactly what will happen or how things will turn out. The uncertainty can be paralyzing, but the truth is, we can never predict the future with complete certainty. We can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we respond to it. Embracing change is about accepting that the unknown holds infinite possibilities. It's about shifting our mindset from one of fear and doubt to one of curiosity and openness. When we embrace the unknown, we allow ourselves to be surprised by what life has in store for us. One of the greatest challenges in embracing change is letting go of the past. It's easy to hold on to what we know, to cling to the comfort of the familiar, especially when the past holds happy memories or a sense of security. But holding on to the past too tightly can prevent us from moving forward. It can keep us stuck in old patterns, in situations that no longer serve us, and in relationships or circumstances that have run their course. Letting go of the past doesn't mean forgetting it or erasing it from our memories. It means releasing its hold on us so that we can make space for new experiences, new opportunities, and new growth. It means acknowledging that the past was a chapter in our story, but it is not the entire story. Embracing change also requires us to be flexible and adaptable. Change often doesn't unfold the way we expect it to. We might have a clear vision of what we want, but things rarely go exactly as planned. Embracing change means being willing to adjust our expectations, to pivot when necessary, and to trust that even if things don't go the way we anticipated, there are still valuable lessons to be learned along the way. Flexibility is an essential skill in navigating change, as it allows us to flow with the changes rather than resist them. The more we practice flexibility, the more we cultivate a mindset that welcomes growth and evolution rather than fearing disruption or uncertainty. Another key aspect of embracing change is resilience, the ability to bounce back after facing setbacks or adversity. Change often brings with it challenges and difficulties. There may be moments of doubt, frustration, or failure along the way. But resilience is what allows us to keep going, even when things get tough. It's about understanding that change is not always easy, but it's through facing and overcoming challenges that we become stronger and more capable. Resilience is not about avoiding hardship or discomfort. It's about developing the inner strength to rise again after each fall. It's about trusting that we are capable of handling whatever comes our way, and that ultimately the difficulties we face will only make us more resilient. When we embrace change, we also create space for innovation and creativity. Change opens up new possibilities and new ways of thinking. It challenges us to look at things from different angles, to question assumptions, and to explore new ideas. Embracing change encourages us to think outside the box and to be creative in how we approach problems, obstacles, and opportunities. It sparks our imagination and invites us to come up with solutions that we might not have considered otherwise. In this way, change becomes a source of inspiration and creativity rather than something to be feared or avoided. Embracing change means being patient with ourselves and with the process. Change doesn't happen overnight, and it often requires time, effort, and persistence. We may not see immediate results or feel the full impact of the changes we're making, but that doesn't mean the change isn't happening. It's important to be patient with ourselves as we navigate the discomfort and uncertainty that comes with change. Every small step we take toward embracing change is progress, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. And even if the results are not immediately visible, we can trust that the process of change is shaping us into the person we are meant to become. When we learn to embrace change, we open ourselves up to the fullness of life. We become more resilient, more adaptable, and more open to the endless possibilities that change brings. Rather than resisting or fearing change, we begin to welcome it as a natural and necessary part of our journey. In doing so, we unlock new opportunities for growth, self-discovery, and transformation, knowing that the only constant in life is change itself, and that we have the power to navigate it with grace. Perfection is often portrayed as the ultimate goal, the standard by which success, beauty, and worth are measured. We're constantly bombarded with images and ideas of what it means to be perfect. Flawless skin, ideal body shapes, the perfect career, perfect relationships, and perfect lives. The pursuit of perfection is embedded in many aspects of our culture, social media, and even our internal dialogue. But in reality, perfection is not only an illusion, but it is also a dangerous standard to live by. It's time we embrace a truth that is not only liberating, but also empowering. Imperfection is not something to be ashamed of, but something to be celebrated. We all have imperfections, flaws, mistakes, and areas of growth that make us human. The more we try to conform to an unrealistic standard of perfection, the further we drift from our true selves. When we chase perfection, we set ourselves up for constant disappointment because no matter how hard we try, perfection is always just out of reach. It creates an endless cycle of striving, where each goal we achieve feels insufficient because there's always something more to fix, improve, or change. And this cycle can rob us of joy, peace, and self-acceptance. But what if we allowed ourselves to stop chasing the illusion of perfection? What if we accepted our flaws, embraced our mistakes, and gave ourselves permission to be human? When we accept imperfection, we open the door to personal growth, freedom, and self-love. Imperfections are not barriers to success or happiness. They are part of our story, part of what makes us unique and interesting. Our imperfections are the things that give us depth, that create empathy, and that allow us to connect with others on a meaningful level. In fact, it is often through our struggles, flaws, and imperfections that we develop the most valuable qualities of all: resilience, compassion, and authenticity. One of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves is the permission to be imperfect. We often think that in order to be worthy of love, success, or acceptance, we must be flawless. But the reality is, we are worthy exactly as we are, imperfections and all. Accepting our imperfections doesn't mean we stop striving for growth or improvement. It means that we stop holding ourselves to impossible standards that prevent us from moving forward. We can still aim for progress, for becoming the best version of ourselves, but we do so with the understanding that we will never be perfect, and that's okay. The fear of imperfection can paralyze us, preventing us from taking risks, trying new things, or pursuing our dreams. We convince ourselves that if we're not perfect, we'll be judged, rejected, or fail. But the truth is, it's not our imperfections that hold us back, it's our fear of them. We fear being vulnerable, making mistakes, or failing. But failure and mistakes are not the end of the road. They are stepping stones to growth, learning, and improvement. When we embrace imperfection, we free ourselves from the fear of failure. We stop seeing mistakes as something to avoid at all costs and instead see them as opportunities for learning and self When we accept our imperfections, we also learn to accept others for who they are. We stop holding others to unrealistic standards of perfection and instead see them as they truly are, complex, multifaceted individuals with their own flaws and struggles. We recognize that perfection is not the goal and that true beauty lies in our shared humanity. This shift in perspective allows us to form deeper, more meaningful relationships based on acceptance and understanding rather than judgment and comparison. It allows us to offer kindness and compassion to others, knowing that they too are imperfect. Embracing imperfection also means embracing the things that make us unique. Each of us is different with our own set of experiences, talents, and challenges. It is these differences that create diversity and richness in the world. When we accept our imperfections, we give ourselves the freedom to be true to who we are. Without feeling, we stop trying to fit into molds that don't serve us and start creating lives that are aligned with our authentic selves. This acceptance allows us to live with more peace, joy, and fulfillment because we are no longer burdened by the weight of perfectionism. The pursuit of perfection can be exhausting and defeating. It often leads to feelings of inadequacy because perfection is not a destination, it's an endless pursuit. We might achieve a momentary sense of accomplishment, but that fleeting satisfaction is quickly overshadowed by the next thing we think we need to improve or perfect. On the other hand, when we accept imperfection, we allow ourselves to rest in the present moment. We appreciate where we are right now, knowing that we are enough exactly as we are. We can be proud of what we've accomplished so far without constantly chasing an unattainable ideal. We must also remember that imperfections don't diminish our worth. They don't make us less capable, less deserving, or less valuable. In fact, our imperfections often make us more relatable, more approachable, and more human. When we embrace our imperfections, we give others permission to do the same. We create a space where vulnerability is welcomed and where growth and self-acceptance are encouraged. Accepting imperfection is a practice, not a one-time decision. It requires constant self-compassion and mindfulness. It means learning to be kind to ourselves when we make mistakes, rather than criticizing ourselves harshly. It means being patient with our own growth and understanding that change takes time. It means acknowledging that we are not perfect, and that's perfectly okay. Accepting imperfection is about letting go of the need for control. It's about surrendering the idea that we can or should be perfect in every aspect of our lives. It's about realizing that life is messy, unpredictable, and full of ups and downs. And that's what makes it beautiful. When we accept that imperfection is part of the human experience, we can approach life with more grace, more gratitude, and more peace. We stop trying to be something we are not, and instead we learn to love ourselves, flaws, mistakes, and all. Owning your worth is one of the most important yet often overlooked aspects of living a fulfilled and empowered life. Too often we place our value in the hands of others, allowing their opinions, judgments, and expectations to dictate how we see ourselves. We let the world define our worth, but in doing so, we forget the fundamental truth that our value doesn't depend on anyone else. It comes from within. It is inherent. It's who we are, regardless of what we've achieved, how we look, or what others think of us. When we begin to own our worth, we take control of our narrative, and we stop allowing external forces to shape our sense of self. The first step to owning your worth is recognizing that your value is not conditional. It is not dependent on your success, your failures, or your ability to meet the standards that others set for you. Your worth is not determined by how much money you make, the title you hold, or the number of followers you have on social media. It is not determined by your appearance or how well you perform in certain areas of your life. Your worth is intrinsic. It comes from being human, from simply existing, from the unique combination of qualities, experiences, and perspectives that make you who you are. When we fail to own our worth, we often look to others for validation. We seek approval, recognition, and affirmation from the people around us, believing that their acknowledgement will somehow prove our value. But this cycle can be exhausting. It leaves us feeling dependent on external validation, and no matter how much praise or acknowledgement we receive, it is never quite enough to satisfy that inner longing for recognition. The truth is, no amount of external validation will ever fill the void of not fully understanding and embracing your own worth. This is why it is crucial to internalize the truth that your value does not need to be validated by anyone else. Once you start recognizing your intrinsic worth, the next step is to honor it. Owning your worth means not settling for less than you deserve. It means having the courage to say no when something or someone doesn't align with your values, your goals, or your sense of self. It means setting boundaries and protecting your energy, your time, and your emotional well-being. Many times, we allow others to take advantage of us because we don't truly believe we deserve better. We compromise on our needs and desires because we fear rejection, conflict, or disappointing others. But when we own our worth, we stop shrinking ourselves to fit into spaces that don't serve us. We stand tall and unapologetically claim our place in the world, knowing that we are worthy of love, respect, and the best that life has to offer. Part of owning your worth is acknowledging the work you've done to get to where you are today. Many of us have a tendency to downplay our achievements or brush off our accomplishments as unimportant. We may tell ourselves, "It wasn't a big deal," or "I could have done more." But that kind of thinking undermines our sense of self-worth. Every step you've taken, every challenge you've faced, and every success you've achieved is a testament to your resilience, your strength, and your capacity to grow. Owning your worth means giving yourself credit for your journey, acknowledging the effort you've put in and the progress you've made, even when it doesn't look perfect. It's about celebrating yourself, even in small ways, because your efforts matter. You matter. It's also important to recognize that owning your worth doesn't mean you're arrogant or conceited. In fact, true confidence is grounded in humility. And knowing your worth doesn't require you to belittle others or elevate yourself above them. It simply means that you have a deep understanding of who you are, what you stand for, and what you deserve. When you own your worth, you become comfortable in your own skin. You stop comparing yourself to others and measuring your success based on their achievements. You understand that everyone's journey is different and that you don't need to compete with anyone but yourself. The confidence that comes with owning your worth is not about proving something to others. It's about showing up authentically and living in alignment with your true self. One of the most powerful aspects of owning your worth is the way it impacts your relationships. When you truly understand your value, you no longer settle for relationships that drain you or diminish your sense of self. You attract people who respect and appreciate you for who you are, not for what you can do for them or how you fit into their narrative. Owning your worth allows you to set healthy boundaries, communicate your needs, and walk away from situations that are not in alignment with your values. When you own your worth, you teach others how to treat you, and you stop tolerating anything less than what you deserve. This shift in mindset not only strengthens your self-respect, but it also empowers those around you to do the same. Owning your worth is also crucial when it comes to pursuing your dreams and goals. Often we hold ourselves back because we feel unworthy of success or fear that we're not capable of achieving what we desire. We let self-doubt creep in and we convince ourselves that we're not good enough, not skilled enough, or not deserving enough of the life we envision for ourselves. But the reality is, you are worthy of every dream you hold. You have the capacity to achieve your goals, and your worth is not tied to how others see your potential. When you own your worth, you begin to take risks, to step out of your comfort zone, and to chase your dreams with the confidence that you have everything it takes to succeed. You stop waiting for external approval and start trusting in your own abilities. In moments of uncertainty or self-doubt, remember that owning your worth is not a one-time decision. It's a practice. It's something you cultivate every day by affirming to yourself that you are enough just as you are.